You talking to me?
What Huey Long said, that every man's a king. I'm the king around here.
You talking to me?
And don't you forget it.
Look around! Look at all these people!
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Horror and moral terror are your friends.
Would not listen, you screwheads. Here is a man who stood up against the scums, the dogs, the filth. Here is someone who stood up.
Are alive because of you.
Here is...
Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind.
The Masturbation Network, keeping America baiting for 300 years. And now, Sweet Bang Tube.
Oh, you just go away, Baton. Damn it.
What's going on, everybody?
Great intro.
Excellent way to end that segment, dude. Idiocracy, one of the greatest movies of all time.
You remember when they used to put thought and effort into movies? I'm a little concerned with what I've been hearing about Joker 2. You know, the opinions about this movie. That, I don't know if we have the ability to appreciate it, and if we're all just stuck to the Boon Tube or whatever.
No shit. Everybody's just been watching too many Marvel movies and can't appreciate a good artistic film anymore.
I'm not even going to go, like, first off, I'm not siding with Marvel on anything at all, but this has nothing to do with people making half-ass movies. This has everything to do with, like, the echo chamber on Twitter and social media and all that crap.
Ah, man, that's what it is. And the box office is kind of reflecting that. I'm concerned, man, because I used to love watching Taxi Driver. All those movies in the intro here, you know, I don't know if they all got glowing reviews when they first came out, but they're classics. A lot of effort and thought went into those movies.
Right.
And some of them are insufferable to watch. You know, 2001, it's not an easy watch. No. But it's a brilliant movie, and you can appreciate the value of that movie. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's going on with Joker 2 right now. So, basically, Joker 2 is the sequel, but it's not what everyone was expecting, right? Everyone wanted another Joker 1. This movie, now I haven't seen it, and that's not the point. What we're talking about here is film appreciation. Like, right? I don't think people are appreciating this film from everything I've heard about it. This is the repercussions of part 1. Everybody wanted more of that. Give me more of that. That was beautiful. I like it. This is the director saying he knew with the success of part 1, there was going to have to be a part 2. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to do it. And so this whole movie's the Joker he's conflicted between being the Joker or, you know, doesn't want to be the Joker. He's on his meds now. He's trying to do better. But there's all this pull to get him back into being the Joker. Even the one thing that he wants the most, which is just love and acceptance, you know, like have a love of his life. But in this movie, it's Harley Quinn who just wants the Joker. And, of course, there's all the other things that we keep hearing about the ending of this movie that plays no part.
Are we
in
doing
this
spoilers? Okay,
I can't really spoil it because I haven't seen it. What I wanted to talk about was the idea that people are getting too stupid to be able to appreciate, or maybe they're so zoned in on YouTube and Twitter that they can't appreciate a good movie just because they don't like it. You may not like 2001, but that is a brilliant film, man.
Right. I agree with that, but I don't think it has to do with it being I don't think people are tired of artistic films. I think that people had the mindset of what Joker was supposed to be, and that's what they were expecting. And they weren't getting what they wanted sold to them.
Yeah, they weren't getting more of the same, right?
Right. So what we got was the origin story for a Joker, not the Joker that you have set in your mind thanks to Mark Hamill. I'm sorry, you're never going to get that again. You didn't get that with Heath Ledger. You didn't get that with Jack Nicholson. You didn't get that with the closest thing you got from that was 66 Joker with Romero. And so the idea that
well, we got the Penguin now, right?
Huh?
If you wanted more of like the Joker-esque thing, we got the whole Penguin series happening right now.
Or the Batman universe.
Right. And we already know that this wasn't going to be the Joker that we all know and love and enjoy seeing, cause chaos. This Joker was a very timid little man who didn't have a bad day that made him want to become the pinnacle of anarchy. This Joker just had a mental breakdown out of resentment for how he was treated around him and just shot a random guy. Well, 4 random guys. He shot the people at the train station, then he shot the TV host in the first film, right? Now this is Joker 2 is now the reaction that the government has to take, basically. So he gets arrested and all this other jazz. Has his court case, which is very reminiscent of the Ted Bundy film. So this is about mental illness. That is what these 2 films are about. And when
the first movie has, it focuses on the fun stuff of the Joker that we all like, what we'd want in a Joker origin movie, right? It was perfect for that. But this one actually, from what I understand, like it does kind of make it's interesting concept that, okay, so if he's not the Joker, then who is the Joker? They're inspired by this guy. The Joker is just like a symbol that anyone can pick up. How many Jokers are we at now in comic books?
We're on like the end.
It does.
How many are we in on movies?
Yeah, no shit.
It kind of diminishes the idea of the Joker having this be the premise that set the stage for everyone wanting to be like the Joker. It kind of like makes all the Jokers copycats and just pathetic, right?
Right.
That's the one problem that I have with the concept of this not being the Joker. But I'm fine with that because it's Elseworlds, right? This is just an idea. I don't know. It doesn't have to be canon, and that's kind of what's cool about what DC's doing with these side stories. That they don't have to be canon; they're just fun films, fun stories, and I can appreciate that.
Let's be fair. They call them Elseworld because this shit took place before James Gunn actually got to the helm. But because they're making money, he's allowing them to continue. There's no way that they're going to cross over or anything. These things are going to be one and done. So,
dude, I have the biggest problem with that, and DC is the worst offender. That's one of the things that Marvel originally did good. I was bitching about it back in the 90s. They finally put together, like, instead of just making a movie, they thought, you know what, we're going to tell a story that transcends a movie. We're going to tie in all of these different heroes. They don't have to be their own standalone, independent stories and movies. We're going to tie Iron Man into Avengers. We're going to tie that into Hulk, independently, and however many, like, thousands of characters that they've got in there now. DC cannot do that for the life of them. Everything is a standalone story. Nothing ties together, and then just the cherry on top of that cake, Marvel goes and does the whole, multiverse thing, and what's DC do? Fucking multiverse with the Flash. Like the least creative thing that you could do in that situation. But they're like, oh, we got to tie it together. How are we going to do it? Well, how'd Marvel do it with a multiverse? Do a multiverse.
It was the only way they were going to sell tickets is to get him in there. Yeah. And his scenes were great. I like his scenes, especially the scene where he falls over sideways. I think I had that in an intro for one of these streams. Let him die, dude. Just let him die. Let these characters die so we can move on. But the problem with that is, of course, that's when you're going to get Snowflake and Safe Space when we move forward with new characters. At least there's the threat of, like, backlash if you start screwing with canon, like these, pillar characters like Batman.
Yeah.
But
yeah, legacy characters. Now,
yeah. So
I've
what
got
would you do? Oh, go ahead.
No, you had the question.
I was gonna say, what would you do if they had made Taxi Driver 2? Did they make a Taxi Driver 2, or was that?
I think they were talking about it. I think.
What would you do with a story like that that would actually make sense? Because I've heard with Joker 2, they were so many people liked it. It kind of touched the rebellious nature of a lot of people, and so there's a lot of support behind the Joker. And so there's two trains of thought here. One is, well, this is not good. We've just sparked a whole lot of, we just incited a bunch of chaos in people, and we need to tone that down. The other side of that is, you're all despicable people for liking this character because he's a, POS, he's a murderer. So,
see, I can get behind that one. I can get behind liking the Joker, trying to embody the Joker, and thinking that he is this great character that needs respect and everything. No, you're nuts, and you're living vicariously through this character.
Well, then you'd be for.
I will say right? This is a better characterization than many.
This second movie is about the repercussions of his actions, rather than in my opinion, if they had just done another, Joker on the wild, Joker on the loose kind of movie, it just been, more of the same. Maybe it would have appeased a lot of low IQ people, but it's not. The first movie was so. Maybe not, but it was so. The first movie was so well done, that to do something where you're just copying the same format of the first one just to keep it going to make money, even though that's what a lot of people complain and say that that's what they want. That would have been just below the, below this director's. I don't know, whatever you call that. He's not going to stoop down to that level. He's making art. And repercussions for his actions in the first movie. I like the way Ethan Van Sciver said it. He said this is actually more of like a part 2. Like this is they're both one movie, right? And you have so you watch the story from start to finish rather than thinking of it as like a part 2, like a sequel. It's like part A and part B, and I like that. I think that's pretty good.
Too. Yeah.
That's accurate because it picks right up after he stands on top of the car and the revolution is around him, praising him after all the damage is done, right? So, first and foremost, this is a psychodrama. That's all this is. This is a psychological drama. That's why when he's off his meds, you get that ambiguity between that fluid reality, whether did this really happen or did it not? Did this interaction take place or did it not? So this was not meant to be a straightforward storytelling, two-piece.
It kind of makes you think, right? Hey, Guest. All right, so Guest, what do you think about the concept of this movie, art movies in general? Because I have another point to make about.
Well, I was going to say you had brought up a good point where you were talking about art and sequels. Have you ever seen a art piece where the sequels were actually good or worth?
Very, very rare.
Yes, but the sequels weren't art pieces. I'm actually a big fan of 2010, which is the sequel to 2001, with Roy Scheider or whatever. And it's not an artistic film; it is just a movie, right? Yeah. But it was a pretty good movie. It was fun. It was up there with like a Star Trek movie, I guess you could say that. But it was nowhere near 2001 when it comes to artistic vision. Well, but it was still a good movie.
Like Total Recall, for instance. Total Recall, the whole idea of what is real and what is not. Like, is he still in the chair? That kind of stuff like that. Once you've answered that, the remake they made of it afterwards?
Oh,
that was
perfect example.
Garbage, yeah. There was no need for it.
There was nothing behind, no interesting thought. It was just, hey, what was that movie even about? It was about mining Earth, the core. They should have called it Earth Core.
Yeah, everything that they did on Mars, they just brought that concept back to Earth.
Bet you anything that movie was not a Total Recall movie. It was probably called It was probably some some secondary movie to the core. Remember when the core came out? I'll bet you they came out around the same time. Probably
like
not,
how they did Cloverfield Lane or whatever.
Yeah, or like the both those movies where the Earth was going to get hit by an asteroid. There's 2000 or whatever that movie was. But they had those movies, these disaster movies where they
Deep Impact and
and Armageddon.
And Armageddon, it came out like a month apart.
Yeah, I bet you this was supposed to be some movie counterpart to something else, and then either one didn't happen or they decided to switch gears and they just slapped
they had Colin Farrell signed up on they had a contract, or they had Colin Farrell under contract. They're like, fuck, we got to film something.
Yeah.
What do we have any IPs that we're about to lose, or we want to hold on to?
I'll bet you they're about to lose a script, and they decided to just use the script and slap the Total Recall label on it, film 3 tits in a scene, and make it boom. That's legit.
That's even like Blade Runner, though. Blade Runner was a really good movie. Blade Runner was really good, and the questions that he was asking inside the movie, they kind of left it ambiguous at the end. The kind of give people the ability to dwell on it. So you can say it's an art piece, absolutely. What was the point of doing the second one?
I like the second one. It's actually, to a degree, I like it better than the first one. In some aspects.
I'm on the opposite end of that.
I like the first one on the whole because maybe unnecessary, but I thought they did a really good job. It's not like you need that extra information for the story, but they didn't do a bad job making a sequel to that story. I'll say that.
Right.
And the filming was brilliant. That movie is a very fun movie to watch.
It's like the film's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Was it just a film, or was it artsy? It was an artsy.
That's an artsy film, dude.
Yeah, most definitely. And then the one with
Swiss Army Man.
Yeah. Oh fuck! I should have thrown that in the intro.
Yeah. Robert Pattinson,
a good one.
and William Dafoe, and The Lighthouse. That was a very artistic film.
The only thing
that I haven't seen it.
There was one clip that I had that I did not throw in that intro, and that was I was going to start the whole thing off with Rosebud.
Oh God! Thank God you didn't.
But yeah, I tried
The Lighthouse too.
Yeah, and I was just like, this isn't going to work, and I took that out, even though that is the first unsufferable artsy movie ever made. Or at least the most notable. I mean, that movie was number one for how many decades, man?
Right.
Was that before Hitchcock?
Oh, man, I don't know. But I think so, probably. It's Orson Welles, so that's got to be before Hitchcock, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And that was a brilliant movie if you understand. And nowadays, back then it was just a brilliant movie. Nowadays, you have to understand what movies were like back then. All the effort put into all these crazy camera shots and all the storytelling aspects. It was like brilliant.
They had to invent that stuff. Yeah, they had to invent that stuff. Today, we just have to watch a YouTube video and be like, oh, I want this character to look powerful, so I just put the camera a little bit lower. Okay.
Dude, I took how many years of film classes and studies and shit in college just to basically watch 3 hours worth of YouTube videos by modern day. I could get almost the same amount of information. The only difference is during film classes, we actually watched the movies and then talked about some very specific things in those movies. Like Streetcar Named Desire, which did make it into that intro because I love Marlon Brando. That dude is I love his acting. I love the difference between young Marlon Brando and old Marlon Brando. You know what I mean?
Island of Dr. Moreau, dude. Have you ever heard the stories of like how he was on set for that?
Yeah. You know, The Godfather should have made it in there too, but there's just so many movies that I had like lined up to go in there. The intro was already 1:30 seconds, so I got to call it.
That's a good call out though. So Godfather, I assume we're all on the same page. That's art, right? Like that first one?
Yeah. The first one.
So
sure.
Is the sequel art?
It's good. I think this is one of those like Lord of the Rings where the second looking at lists, I personally think the first Lord of the Rings movie was the best one, the best done, most well done movie. However, The Return of the King, the third one, was actually considered the best one. I consider them all just one big movie, right?
Yeah, I consider it 12 hours of oh my god.
I would consider Star Wars, the original trilogy, as one entity. But here's the problem with the one problem with that is they were 3 different directors with 3 different visions. So I don't know if I would legitimately put that as one. I like to group them, but at least Lord of the Rings has one director with one vision.
I got a thought on that. I think Star Wars got lucky. I think they accidentally wrote themselves into a story to where all 3 of the trilogy fit into one story. I think that is one of the reasons why the prequels and the other ones that came afterwards suck in comparison, is because you're now taking this story that actually had a good 3-act structure between 3 movies, and now you have extended it by 60%. And it's like you've taken that story completely out of context and you've given it a ham-fisted beginning and a bullshit end.
Think about it like this. There's more bad Star Wars than there is good Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that sucks. And we're getting close when it comes to Star Trek.
I was like, Lord Dump, and the sequels are just a cheap mimicry.
The first one, at least. The other 2, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with those. It almost just seemed like they were passing the hot potato, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. J.J. Abrams, dude. Like, I mean, I liked the first, episode 7.
It was entertaining.
But it was a complete... I liked it, especially after having seen the prequels, which I am not a fan of. But episode 7 was unabashedly an absolute and complete rewrite of episode 4. It was the exact same thing.
It wasn't even as good as the episode 4 because episode 4 had like
what separated it is that they just kind of like he did in J.J. Abrams' style. He filmed it in a Star Wars style, which is not something that we had since the 80s, and that's what we wanted. And the only way he could accomplish that was by just like, well, I'll just completely rewrite. I'll just follow the same script. I'll follow what worked, and then somebody else can have it after that. I don't care what they do.
See, that's what makes me like the prequels, is because it was original and they weren't scared of trying something new. So there's no mention of new Death Stars. There's no mention of Palpatine. There's no recreating the intro scene of a spaceship taking 7 minutes to get into the actual frame. So, yeah, the prequels I liked. Now, were they great? No. But was it the original director? Was it the original director of the 4, 5, and 6? Yes, it was.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He sucks at telling... He's good at filming. He's good with the story, but he needs somebody else to direct it and edit those movies, because that was the problem with the prequel trilogies. He needed somebody else in there to say, no, let's rearrange some shit. It's almost like he had a bone to pick with the audience after they started to understand, because I didn't hear about that shit until I was in my 20s. That because just like Stan Lee. George Lucas got all this credit. He's this genius and all this. And then you come to find out, like, decades later, he filmed this shit. And then it took a team of experts to come and take his, madness and organize it. And then he had to have 2 different directors film these other stories. And then he's like, you know what? I am going to prove I'm a good director by making these prequels. And it's the same shit, man. If he had just let somebody redo it or retell the same story, maybe direct it differently or something.
Can I add to that? Just like how different and how glorious. I'm going to say it had the potential for glorious. Would it have been if they had simply not had Jar Jar Binks? Like,
Jar Jar never bothered me. I don't know why everybody's all pissed off at Jar Jar. He's annoying.
One of the worst characters ever written.
He's like R2-D2 in the originals because he's like
exactly. Yeah.
If R2-D2 was like nails on a chalkboard.
And R2 is like nails on a chalkboard with that beeping and whirling. Like, bitch, get out of here with that. Speak English, dude. Every other robot in the galaxy can speak English. Even the gonk droids, you know, at least they say gonk, you know. But R2's got a beep and whistle and whirl. And it's like, dude, I know you got a speaker in there. I know you can speak languages.
How much of that series? Think about this mathematically. What percentage of this prequel series did we see two of the greatest Jedi in the history of the entire franchise wandering around with Jar Jar Binks? Like, think about that for a second. That was written multiple times in multiple movies where we have these two amazing Jedi and we're like, can't do it without Jar Jar. We got to throw him in there.
Go away!
He completes the scene.
Go away! I'm baiting. You know what I mean?
Have you never heard
that's what Jar Jar is for.
That Jar Jar is a Sith Lord?
Yeah, I've heard that one.
That's an excellent theory. And had they so a big issue with Jar Jar, not the sole issue, but a big issue with him was the voice acting. Robert, whatever his name is, I have a lot of respect for the guy. I don't have any hate for him. I don't like the voicing that he did for Jar Jar, the little thing he came up with for that character I didn't like. I know he did some other stuff that was good.
You know what would have been funny? What if Jar Jar was like, hey, Misa Dodo, what is that?
If that in the very first time when they introduce him, if the King Frog guy had just cut out his tongue, completely different movie.
Misa gone down and go boom, and then they're like, "Oh, bro, chill, all right. Misa, show you back to me home. We go bad bombing. Anyway, that would have made Jar Jar much better, I think. What do you think about the this idea that we cannot appreciate good like art these days, right? Well written, well thought out, because there is a result of that, and it's idiocracy, man. When you can't, when you have art, at least there's a message. It's clear that the director of Joker 2 even stated this was kind of a result of the pressure of making a movie he really didn't want to make. And it was not a slight on the fans. It was a statement of himself. And, you know, Emergency Awesome has a great video talking about the director and the point to the Joker 2 movie. And Ethan Van Sciver has a lot of good points on this movie, too. And I actually want to go see this movie because I think it's like Taxi Driver. You know, you don't have to like a movie to appreciate that it's a good movie. And if we cannot appreciate a good, well-done movie, whether you like it or not. A lot of people hated Barbie. I actually thought Barbie was funny, and I'm not even one of those people. I get it, movie wasn't made for me, but I actually appreciate it. I thought it was funny. I liked that movie.
I like
that. Yeah, that was all right.
And so this is another one of those movies that everyone's hating on. The box office is going down, so it's a horrible movie. Joker 2 sucks. But if we keep that up, no one's going to be inspired to write, you know, artsy movies. But on top of that, what about the idea that it's not a good time to be making artsy-fartsy movies with this subliminal messaging? Because we've got there's a lot of people, like, times are rough, you know? They're getting harder all the time. We've got election happening. Well, do we need somebody going out there and, like, being all hoity-toity, like, I've got a message to say, and if you're smart enough, you'll figure it out. You know,
I think we do need that. I think we do. I think it's important.
You think that's what needs to be here? Just people are being like, how dare they make some... We're over here trying to buy milk, and they're making, you know, subliminal commenting about their status, making a movie they're getting paid billions to do. It didn't make $100 billion, so it's like, I'm wondering... There's the fear, you know, that we're going to end up idiocracy if we can't appreciate a movie because we're too stupid.
It's happening. We're watching it unfold.
Or is it just like, we don't need any more of your hoity-toity crap, you know?
Well, I mean, didn't he say that he didn't want to make this movie, but they forced him to?
I'm not sure how. I'm sure, like, the check is what forced him to do it.
Yeah, they forced him with money.
Well, if that was the
poor
case,
guy.
Isn't he succeeding
Slave drivers.
by us not watching it?
I mean, it would have accomplished his mission. He got paid either way.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good movie. Like, it really does
still made a
sound
good
like,
movie, I think. Yeah.
It sounds boring. It doesn't sound like a fun, exciting, happy movie. And when we're all halfway depressed, you know, when we can only buy meat once a month, you know, and they have like eggs are $13 one day and $5 the next day.
The first Joker wasn't.
Maybe I don't want to sit for 3 hours watching a sad movie.
The first Joker wasn't a happy-go-lucky, fun action type film either. But
No,
people
but-
went to see it and enjoyed it.
You
And
know
it
what?
was
Schindler's
smart.
List wasn't a happy movie.
It still had a message.
I forgot to put Life is Beautiful. That was another one on the list of movies I was going to put in there.
No.
But it was in there.
Life is Beautiful is a freaking amazing movie. I don't ever want to see it again, but I really
Barb.
appreciate that movie.
Barb.
Yeah. Don't get me started. You know, Schindler's List, man. Nobody wants to watch that movie, but you kind of need to watch that movie. You know, and a lot of others like it.
Yeah.
They need to exist.
You know, I will say the funny thing, and I don't remember who said this. I wish I could cite the source, but
You talk like a fag. Just saying.
there's that fag talk we were talking about.
It's got electrolytes.
There was a dude that he like. Okay, so Batman's been around forever. You know, as far as like our lifetime, forever. And it's interesting because like Batman is it's one of those entities that you can kind of tell where society is at in any given decade by their Batman movie.
Yeah.
And so like every time there's a Batman movie, like I always kind of watch that movie and I'm like, oh, so let's see what kind of society I'm in now, that, you know, what generation, you know, are we going to, and this is what I'm getting is this is the Batman that we're in now is Folie Dois, or however you pronounce it.
Oh, that's why we got Robert Pattinson as Batman.
It's the millennial Batman.
The millennial Batman. Oh, it was a bad choice. The movie wasn't horrible. The Joker was horrible in that, but Robert Pattinson he's not a bad actor, to be honest. He's not a bad actor, but he's not who I would imagine to play Batman. He's not even like a young. They're not even rehashing his origins this time as he's young Batman. He's like established Batman. Like, not seeing it.
If they showed Batman in the Joker film in that Gotham, but we base it off the Joker character that we got in that film, I believe Batman would die within his first year. If we're going to play reality,
oh, that's interesting.
Because this Joker.
So you're saying this Joker versus Robert Pattinson Batman?
No, I'm saying this Joker, who's supposed to have his own Batman in that film's universe, that Batman, based off the reality of how things happen after a mentally ill person goes out and starts taking things into his own hands, the same outcome the Joker had, Batman's probably going to get a bullet in his head as soon as somebody sees him in costume.
Yeah,
or end up in prison. They're going to catch him and throw him in prison. That'd be actually an interesting story if they took
Arkham next to he'd end up in Arkham next to Joker and Harley.
Yeah, what if they had made a Batman movie like they made this Joker movie?
That's
like
what I meant. Like, if they were going to do a third, like they've done 2 Joker movies now. If they were to like pull off a third, there has got to be Batman. You can't do a third version of this without fucking Batman. And honestly, that if you're going to do this right and you're going to make this a 3-part, you know, series, like the 3-act structure of a larger story that you're telling, Batman better be your third act.
Yeah, but you can't. No. I absolutely disagree with that because he's dead, so he can't come back in the third movie. There's no like story arc that you could shift.
He came back in these.
You can't shift it to Batman being the character or anything. You'd have to do a spinoff or something because a 3-act structure, it'd be doing the same thing as Star Wars did in this new trilogy, the
sequel,
right?
The sequel trilogy, where all of a sudden we kill off everybody that's important. But wait a minute, the Emperor's back, boo! You know, like, the Emperor's back, y'all! And he's like, and he's causing mayhem in a secret part of the galaxy. And we got to
They would hand it off to Harley Quinn because she was actually trying to manipulate whatever this character's name is, Joker, into becoming Joker again. So they would hand it off to her, and then if you wanted Batman back, because we met him in the first film, he's still a fucking child under his dad's roof. His dad's still alive. That hasn't played out yet. So you'd get teenage Bruce Wayne, Harley Quinn, make her kill his parents in an alleyway, then you'll have your next Batman.
Oh God, please don't do that. Please don't do
something.
that. I'm tired of that whole thing. Just completely just wash that thing like it just happened. We're not going to talk about it. You know what happened. We've already heard it 1,000 times.
We can even make it a musical.
My musicals. Xanadu is one of my favorites. got some dancing to do. I'll make an outro for that one of these days. But so Lady Gaga. How do you go from Margot Robbie to Lady Gaga? The Margot Robbie was perfect for Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
Agree.
This isn't Harley Quinn. This is Harleen Quinzel or Quinn or some shit like that.
Does it have the same name as the Harley Quinn? Sorry if I mispronounced that, but same name as the Harley Quinn in the new animated series?
It's her original name is Harley Quinzel.
Okay, but I don't know. I know that's like Harleen or something like that in this movie, but that doesn't really matters. But even if it is supposed to be the same, if it's the same person, like I get it. Lady Gaga can sing, and apparently she can. I don't know. I've heard she can act. I heard she can't act. I don't know. I don't care. I had Margot Robbie, which was as close to what I imagine Harley Quinn being as possible, and I don't know if you can beat that. Obviously, anything can beat that new cartoon. That new cartoon, Harley, makes no sense.
She's not Asian and flat-chested. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. Dumpy and depressing. The exact opposite of Harley Quinn. Like, everything about that character is annoying.
So, to be fair on the Harley Quinn character, would you want Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn next to Heath Ledger's Joker?
So yes. I agree with you on that. Like, I understand that it's a completely different story. It's being told in a completely different way, completely different light. And no, I don't think that that Margot Robbie would fit.
I do.
But man, if she did.
Would this Harley fit Heath Ledger?
No.
This Harley doesn't.
Now Margot Robbie and Heath Ledger, to me, that's the epitomal duo right there.
Yeah, because Jared Leto, that was a weird Joker.
That dude is garbage. Like, I like 30 Seconds to Mars. They're fine. You know, like if I've got him playing in the background of I don't think he's suicide or something.
I don't know anything about the guy. I'd probably hate him if I knew more about him. But I did like him in oh my God, Blade Runner, the 2049.
Morbius.
I liked him in Morbius. Morbius itself was like a wishy-washy meh. It was entertaining. It's like up there with Venom. But he didn't do a bad job.
No, it wasn't.
No, whatever. I didn't hate
whatever.
I didn't hate that movie. I enjoyed watching it as much. Venom isn't Venom either. If you read the Venom comic books, but it was entertaining enough. Just same with Morbius. Morbius was entertaining, and Jared Leto is not the reason it sucked.
I'm afraid I'm on the camp of kind of disappointed with Venom. Like, it's not terrible, but it's definitely a B-.
I was waiting for Carnage, and I was let down with Carnage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That really pissed me off. I mean, I even was kind of on board when I started watching the movie. I didn't like the idea that Woody Harrelson was... Woody, right? It was Woody Harrelson. It was was Carnage. But he managed to actually not do a horrible job. Like, he actually he didn't.
He looks the part.
He did a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a younger Woody Harrelson was better. But still, was the storyline for Carnage. Like, what is he, Beetlejuice? We got to marry him off. Like, that's a weird story for Carnage. What happened to him just running around killing shit for no reason?
Mm-hmm.
The guy pushed his grandmother down a flight of stairs, when he was a kid. He's not concerned about getting married.
No. So this Joker, Folly Adieu, I think these two films were this is my take. These films were planted. So the first one was Joker, mental illness awareness, schizophrenia, depression, resentment, vengefulness. That's how a lot of people have been feeling these days outside, the four walls of your home.
Yeah, that's true.
So they made Joker, not realizing people were going to watch this film and then be like, oh, about 6 months later, there's whispers of revolution, revolt, January 6th took place. And they were like, okay, guys, we need to show them how we're going to react to somebody that wants to do that. And that's where this Joker Folly came from.
Oh, you think that they forced him to write it, or you think he just went and wrote it as a statement?
I think he was forced to write it this way. Still make it artsy and whatever, but I think the aftermath of him having to go to court, firing his lawyer, and representing himself, that is a fucking Ted Bundy ripoff. That is Ted
the
Bundy
movie was. Aren't both of these movies kind of based off of other movies? Like, they're heavily inspired, clearly. But
yeah, so that was a Ted Bundy move to the T. Another mental illness, facade that we watched documentary. And then he goes out, does this thing or whatever. He doesn't want to be Joker anymore. He wants to be remorseful and stop. But because this woman's in his ear manipulating him like the shoulder devil instead of having a shoulder angel, he goes.
They got to do the Adam and Eve angle.
Right. And then for some reason at the end, whatever happens, I hear that he's not there at the end. So he gets his ass beaten, and then he's dead. That is how they're going to handle somebody if they decide to start whispering revolution.
So you think this movie was made and written in a certain way so that to basically tell all these rebellious January 6ers, this is what you're facing. Oh, you might have your big fans on, your big audiences on YouTube, but
every person that kind of idolizes Joker or that Joker and Harley Quinn relationship a hot topic. This movie was for all you fucks that think that you're going to do something, and then we're going to show you exactly what's going to happen after. There's your action. You got your Joker. You got to see his success in the first film. Now you're going to see how we react to you.
Yeah, I've heard that argument. Now, I haven't. It makes sense. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm planning on seeing it pretty soon, and we'll see.
I'm gonna die if I get my Hot Topic goth mommy.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the flaw in that. The people that this movie generally, everybody loves the Joker, right? Everybody on both sides of all aisles or whatever. But you don't see conservative Jan Sixers run around with clown makeup on their face.
No,
that is like a young weirdo
theater shooter with orange hair.
Yeah, that guy's not a conservative or a Trump supporter or whatever, Jan Sixer or any of that kind of stuff.
I'm just saying.
So if they're making a message for that crowd, then they'd be speaking to the people who rioted during the George Floyd riots as well, right? Because they actually went out and rioted and actually killed people en masse. So if anything, they're speaking to those people.
But their party benefited from that. They're not going to see any repercussion.
So they're writing this movie for those people then?
They're writing it for anybody that wants to go against what they have set in place.
But Hollywood is like like progressive headquarters, right? This is where you go to make, tell these like crazy ideas to get people riled up. I don't know if I agree with that, man. That this was like a warning.
Actions fit for the times that you're in.
Well, if it's a warning, it's a warning that went without any viewers.
Look at how many people enjoyed the first Joker film and then immediately have a 180 because of part 2.
Yeah, but I think that's mass. I think that so many people are in echo chambers, like Stanley was saying at the beginning here. I think that's echo chamber shit doing that.
Sure.
And of course, if you say, "Oh, you're a contrarian," right? And it's like, I guess I'm a contrarian then.
Like the majority of times I think it's the echo chamber, and I do disagree with you on this one, Jake. 90% of the time I agree with you, and I think that there are probably some elements of what you're talking about that, like, I think that probably those things when they were having their meeting and making the movie talk about how they're going to do it, they're like, the January 6th stuff, that's hot. If we kind of emulated that a little bit, that's a hot button issue right now. That's people are they're gonna relate to it. It makes the movie relatable. I definitely think that's a part of it.
If we praise it in the second film, we're gonna have problems.
So, if they had made a Punisher movie, Punisher Goes to Court, or Punisher on Trial, then I'd be like, all right, that makes sense. I get what you're saying. He's got to suffer for all his misdeeds.
Matt Murdock can represent, he'd get off easy.
Did his wife shit the bed, or
the Hulk would jump in there and like smash some shit? Lou Ferrigno would tear it up. I mean, there's been a lot of movies that really upset people. Pan's Labyrinth. I threw that one in there, that real quick clip, because I hate that movie. I watched it and cannot stand that movie, man. But it was a well done movie. It was a pretty impactful story. It was dark as fuck, and it was not something I ever want to watch again. But it was a good movie as far as it was well done. It told a story. It was an artistic film.
What was that one film that could be labeled as artistic? It was like Heath Ledger's last film. That's why they had to get all the other actors to come in.
Oh, Dr. Parnassus. That's the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Yeah.
Where they had to get all his buddies in there to film his scenes for him. That is an artsy film, and that's actually a really good film. That was a good movie. Yeah, man, I have it on Blu-ray. I'll watch that. That's actually a good example of an artistic film in modern times, which you don't see as much as like you used to see. In my opinion, I think they just don't exist as much. There are some examples,
right?
But I feel like they're becoming fewer and far between. You know what I mean?
Right. There's a difference between an artsy film and then just people thinking that they're creating an artsy film. A24 Studio, I'm looking at you. Now,
Interstellar could be considered an artistic film.
I think it is considered an artistic film.
No, we had 2001. We trying to recreate it.
It's like a 2001 reboot, kind of.
Something I have to just throw something out here because something that's been like grating with me the entire conversation.
Okay.
Do you realize? Think about this for a second. We're talking about the merits and the existence of artistic films as a result of a movie about Joker. If you'd have told me that in 1997, I'd been like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
That's
no
weird.
Joke, right? The fact that they would even make a movie about, like, if you go back to the 90s, if somebody told me they were going to make a movie about Joker, I'd be like, why? Batman's the one we want to see. Why don't they make Batman 6? Batman and Robin and Batwoman. That was clearly going to be the next Batman movie. And it was going to have, I don't know, the Clayface and who else? The Croc. We didn't get the Croc in, we didn't get them in the original Batman movies.
And
it would have Sylvester Stallone in it.
No.
We've been asking this question about why people aren't appreciating artistic movies. Well, we got 4 people right here who haven't watched this movie. Like, why don't we just go around and ask us why we didn't watch the movie?
That's a good point.
All right, yeah.
We watched the movie. I personally haven't watched it because I'm broke. It's not that I don't want to see it. I want to see this movie. Movies are really expensive nowadays. And so it has to be, and I think that's why everyone talks about box office sales. This is a box office, bonanza. So it's worth spending $50 to go take your family to get some tickets and popcorn and $7 sodas.
Fair.
That's why I went to Dune. Dune is an experience. I don't know if the Joker is the experience that I want to spend $50 on.
So that's it right there. I have a limited amount of time. A lot of my content that I consume can be done on television. Like, I think like Wolverine and Daredevil, isn't that out on television now? So it's like going to the movies is now not the experience of like in the 90s. You got to go see the movie because it's going to be out on VHS in like 9 months, and it's not going to be widescreen. It's going to be, it's not going to be HD. It's not going to have audio, all the stuff. It's not the same viewing experience back then. Now I've got I've got all of the viewing experience stuff that I need to, see any movie just about the way that I need to see it, with the exception being there are occasionally those movies that kind of transcend the actual movie itself, where Peter's talking about where it is an experience. And if I'm going to do that experience, and like Peter said, it's going to be an expensive endeavor. It's going to be something that replaces a block of time in a day, which my time is very limited. So, and it's not just my time, it's my family's time. This is going to be a family event. We are all going to get together and take a block of time to go spend $50 to go watch a movie. I don't want artsy Joker movie in the theater for that experience. I'm sorry, probably a Marvel movie. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the case. Like, I've gone and seen other movies, but I need that epic movie that's going to be a worthwhile experience for the whole family.
And you do spend a lot of time watching those Marvel movies, right? You've watched 20 of them already. We got to see how this story ends. And then there's going to be 20 more.
No, there won't be.
I'd say for me, the big issue was I didn't feel like I needed a second one. You don't have to tell me that this guy is going to jail. He's just a regular dude. He got arrested. He's going to jail. I can kind of figure what happens afterwards. Like, this second movie to me just feels like a waste of time.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing with it, but he's not even my favorite Joker. Sorry if I'm hurting feelings on that. I'm just not.
He wasn't my favorite.
It was nothing selling me.
He's nobody's favorite.
I liked it in the first movie. I actually did think he was a really good Joker. But I would have...
but you also just had to sit through Jared Leto. There's that.
That's true, too. But Heath Ledger's not my favorite one either. And he's like everybody's favorite Joker. I personally like You
want to know whose ass is farting and why they're farting.
I like the Adam West Joker. That's actually
Romero.
one of my favorites. Is Adam West Joker? Yeah, Romero. Okay, there's a movie that we haven't talked about that is an artsy movie that is, and we got a few minutes to talk about this one, but Clockwork Orange. That is an artsy film. It is not a fun film. It's very gritty and at times disturbing. That movie didn't need to get made, but it got made, and it's a classic. It's Stanley Kubrick. I like that movie. I mean, as much as I don't like that movie, it's a fun watch. It's an interesting watch. I wouldn't say a fun watch. It's hard to even talk about liking that movie because then you're on a list somewhere.
Especially today.
Oh, well.
Right? That movie would never get made today.
No.
What are they? Is that what we want from Joker 2? Is Clockwork Orange? That's why I threw it in there. Is that the epitome of what we should have gotten with the Joker 2 that everyone's complaining about?
That's a good point, because that movie would not get made today. We probably need some movies like that today. I don't want to see them, but Jesus Christ, what would it be like if they did make that movie today?
That's the only way you could have upped the ante. This movie doesn't up the ante. but this does have a good conclusion to the story.
Yeah.
But Clockwork Orange, I think, might have been a contest or whatever contender.
If we're going to be putting contenders against Joker,
going back to what I was saying before. Well, going back to what I was saying before, would you want a sequel to Clockwork Orange?
no.
No, again.
Today, yes.
I mean,
Oh God, no.
oh, right? He's still alive,
Movie
right?
ended.
Yes. Oh, dude, where's the Clockwork Orange sequel? Could be Clockwork
Reboot. Give me a fucking Clockwork Orange reboot.
Yeah, Clockwork
with
Orange.
Legacy. Legacy. What is that called when they have the Legacy like guys in there that hand it over?
Oh yeah,
do the whole fucking.
He's got to hand it off to the next batch of droogies, you know. Like we go to the Caroba Orange Juice Bar, where they have fentanyl orange juice on tap.
So if you wanted a good sequel to Joker, you would have remade One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, but that movie takes place inside of a mental institution.
My point exactly.
So the whole movie's about him like pretending to be insane, but he's really not. He's really the Joker, and he's just plotting to get out. I mean, I love that movie.
That's what the Telltale games did with their Batman, whatever within.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. I think Clockwork Orange would have been better. Would have been a better one. Like he's basically just like out there causing mayhem and nobody can. But then at the end, he still gets away with it. The weird thing about Clockwork Orange is that he gets away with it at the end. After everything, because there's like a glitch or a loophole in the system. Did you ever see Oh Lucky Man?
No.
No.
Yes, you did, Stanley. That's that one where we watched. Yeah,
I don't remember it.
Back at the apartment. It's another Malcolm. Is that Malcolm McDowell?
Yeah.
Malcolm McDowell did this movie, Oh Lucky Man. And it's not, I don't even think it's a great movie or anything, but it is weird. It's straight up there with everything that Malcolm McDowell does. But it basically goes on a journey. He's a weird kid that goes on this weird journey. He comes across all these weird, it's like Forrest Gump, but in a Malcolm McDowell sense, you know, in his kind of style of movies that he does. Instead of going to meet the president, he stumbles into a government testing facility and then like finds some like half human, half pig hybrid, and it's like scary, and then he's also traveling around with some band for a minute. It's like a weird movie, dude. But I mean, Malcolm McDowell's awesome. If we had Malcolm, I don't even remember where the hell I was going with this whole thing.
Man, Bear Big.
That could have been like a sequel to Clockwork Orange. I don't know. I don't remember what I was thinking about that.
Who do we have today? You know, like they had Malcolm McDowell back in the 70s, and we had Tom Cruise. It's cool. If you take his personal life out of
we have Robert Pattinson, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's. Does this generation get to claim Chris Evans, or was that like 2000s and now he's past his prime?
Chris Evans is definitely a part of the new generation, but I don't. They would, because of Disney, they would never do something like Clockwork Orange. Although, you know who we have? Harry Potter. Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe, yeah.
Yeah, because he did Horns and he did that Broadway. He does like some weird shit. The
Weird Al movie.
Weird Al movie. Yeah,
that was glorious.
He is kind of like a modern day Malcolm. No, I wouldn't say Malcolm McDowell, but he's up there. He's breaking the mold, I guess. You know, he's breaking out of that.
Yeah, he's
mold.
Picking some good movies.
Yeah, which is good to see. And Swiss Army Man was. As much.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. See, this is what I get from everybody.
I didn't like that. I get it, and I understand it, and I like Daniel Radcliffe, and I respect him for accepting that role. But
I like that movie a lot, dude. And you know what happens? If you don't appreciate movies like that, or maybe even Joker 2, you know what's going to happen, you guys? You know what's going to happen?
Let me know.
You're gonna get what you fucking do.
Now get out! And I'll tell you when I want you back!